Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to this Tech Talk Live. Welcome to the ARRI headquarters here in Munich, in Germany, in our studio. My name is Jeanfre. I look after the support accessories for the ARRI cameras. I keep thinking I've got the best job in the world. I'd like to, before we start, thank my crew here, the people behind the cameras, and the whole organization. That's why it looks so good. Obviously, those guys are keeping at a safe distance. They're all wearing masks due to the COVID situation. I'd like to thank Philippe as well for his presentation just early on. Philippe is looking after all the PC accessories, everything that has connection to the third-party cameras and the mat box for the focus. And the crew supply. I focus, several focus on the ARRI camera-specific accessories. Before I start, also I'd like to precise there'll be a Q&A at the end of this session. So I'm going to chat for about 30 minutes and then we'll take questions. But don't wait for the end of these sessions to start typing your questions. Please enter them on the program or on the wherever you can enter them. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end. Here we are. My goal today is to keep you up to date with the rigging options for the Alexa Mini LF specifically. The Alexa Mini LF is our latest cameras. It's been a very successful camera, and I'd love to have a quick chat with you about that. The Mini and the Mini LFs are very flexible cameras in terms of configuration. You can do pretty much everything with them. When the Alexa Mini came out, the set of accessories that we provided with it was fairly small, and the set that we're proposing with the Alexa Mini LF is rather complete. So why did we change our style? There's a very good reason for that. When the Mini came out in 2015, we didn't really know where it was going to be heading. So that was very much a companion camera that was working alongside the bigger Alexa. When the Mini LF came out, however, the Mini LF was a well-established platform and certainly a well-anticipated camera. This is why we didn't hesitate to outfit it with a comprehensive set. So what did change? We tried to basically improve. First of all, we didn't hesitate to have a very flexible, very complete set on it. And the second thing we tried to do is to improve the speed at which you transit from one configuration to the other. For instance, if you're on a shoulder and then you're going to a stabilizer, then you would need traditionally you would need your 3mm lane key and go to town with it. While we try as much as you could to have quicker solutions that saves time on set. There is, for that very set of accessory, I'm lucky enough to have a good colleague of ours, my colleague Dooley, who's working at ARRI Australia in Sydney, who's just recorded a very, very comprehensive guide and a lot of details about that very set. So my goal is not tonight to talk about too much detail into it. If you require a lot of detail and little tips and tricks, please check his video. It's on the ARRI channel and it's very good. The set of accessories that I have in front of me, I'd like to talk about the major parts. Two major parts, maybe the base plate and the power distribution box at the back. The base plate itself is called, in that instance, the compact bridge plate. We call it the compact bridge plate because we're sort of bringing together a bridge plate, shoulder pad, a set of rods, etc. So it's a compact bridge plate. It was designed to allow a very versatile balance on the shoulder. You can change from a FT zoom to a small prime and still feel comfortable with it. Also, we did our best to make sure that it could come out of the tripod very easy with just one lever instead of just sliding it out. There's one of the big use for that bridge plate is to change quickly from a stabilizer, and especially the stabilizers that we have here in ARRI. That's the Trinity from our camera stabilizer system. That bridge plate is designed to slide off the system and fit straight onto, like I'm doing now, and I'm not going to do it straight away. And fit straight onto a stabilizer. We also have another version of the CBP1. We have the compact bridge plate CBP2, which is a 15mm studio. Philippe touched quickly early on the different standards. And some regions like Canada, the West Coast in America, parts of Australia are still working with a 15mm studio standard, so 15mm with the same standard as here. So we've got a bridge plate especially for them. Another part that's quite important is the distribution box. On the Mini, there was no power distribution as such, so we decided to quickly have a box to compensate for that. The compact bridge plate, I'm going to get there. The power splitting box comes in a few versions. One is a V-mount, gold mount. Then we have two versions which accept smaller batteries, the V-micro, typically from our partner Bebop, and also we have a version that just came out that is dedicated to the new BMount standard 24 volts. These distribution box run from 10 to 34 volts, so they do follow the same voltage range as the camera. So you can stick 24 volts, you can stick 28 volts on them, and they work well. They also have the same 8-pin LEMO into them as the camera itself, so you can use the same cable to plug directly onto the camera or in the power splitting box. The question that we have fairly often is what type of fusing, how are they protected? Well, all these boxes are protected by a polyfuse. That's a resettable fuse, soft fuse that doesn't need changing, it just resets itself on each of the accessory output that we have. So if you have an issue on set, you would wait half a minute and it resets itself when it cools down. We tried with that set to respect as much as we could the legacy products that we did for the Alexa Mini from 2015. So most of the components that we will have in the ready-to-shoot set for the Alexa Mini LF are compatible with the whole thing. Let's talk about what we have now, the accessory expansion pack that we designed for, that we assembled for the ready-to-shoot set for Alexa Mini LF is what we have on screen here. We're just adding a updated side battery plate that's fairly popular. There's a side accessory bracket as well that I have on the camera I have now. Two single short rods that are 19mm in diameter. I'm going to talk about them in a minute. Handle extension and what we call a stabilizer plate, which is the plate you would use if the camera was to feature on a Steadicam or a Trinity or any other type of traditional stabilizers. We do have in that set. This set was a initiative from our colleagues in ARRI Australia. I thank them for that. So we just rudely took that on board. Another set of accessories that we made for Alexa Mini LF, and we added for the Alexa Mini 2 is a way to turn that camera 90 degrees and shoot with a sensor oriented vertically. It sounded a bit like a gizmo at the start, but it's much more popular than we anticipated. We, in fact, I think sold 4 times the amount of bracketry than we were thinking at the beginning. This has just these 4 brackets here, 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest is basically what you would have with a classic set of Alexa Mini or Alexa Mini LF. And it allows you to basically bring that body 90 degrees on the side. We had for the Mini LF, we had to redesign the top plate. We had to make a specific, what we call the vertical top plate that gives space for the new media bay that features on the Alexa Mini LF. We also have a bracket for the viewfinder that allows the viewfinder to basically be tilted 90 degrees with the screen vertical, and that would fit on our standard viewfinder bracket, which is cool. So that the vertical viewfinder bracket to shoot 9:16. We also have a new plate made for us by a company called Ignite DG in Tasmania. They've got a very good range of very exciting products, very lightweight product for the Alexa Mini, and they're making specifically for us a CBB adapter for Ronin. So this little plate basically uses the system that we have at the moment that I'm showing to you, the ready to shoot set, and it provides an easy, a quick way to move from a tripod to that stabilizer, which is very good. It's made exclusively for ARRI by Ignite DG. We also have where did I put that? Oh yes, it's here. A little bracket here that I wanted to feature. It's a tiny bracket that can help mounting not only our own transmitter, but also third-party transmitters such as the Terdex, for instance. And you would fit that very, very quickly to any side brackets, top mount, if you want to reposition that. I know that some types of stabilizer are demanding for a more central way to mount accessories in order to distribute the mass a little bit. So that's the video transmitter bracket. We've also made a little update on the classic base plate, the MAP2. We made basically that plate is the same as before the MAP2. So if you don't own one, you're not missing much, but it tries to respect as much as possible lightweight roads by having a bigger surface to climb the road. So it's an updated version that comes with the Alexa Mini LF. And allows you to do exactly the same thing, mount ARRI B1s, mount the roads the same way we've done it before. Same compatibility with the cement doors. I would like to talk quickly also about a battery standard that we are trying to slowly roll out. So far, we've had the two standards that we've had in the market were 12-volt standard, V-mount and gold mount. We are trying to introduce the BMount, that is a 24-volt standard. We realized while developing our cameras that it would be very, very difficult to stay with a 12-volt system. 12 volts is 24 volt would make for smaller products that basically run cooler. A little bit of science behind that. I'm not an engineer at all, but for the same power, if you increase the voltage, then you would lower the amperage. That's why standard that we have already, like the L-bus for our electronic control system, that's already 24 volt. In order to have thinner cables, in order to have less depletion by heat. So we realized very quickly that the next generation of camera to be very, very difficult to keep 12 volts, and we decided to move to 24 volts. So what it means in an industry where 24 volts is not necessarily a standard is sourcing batteries locally would be very difficult. It would start running into a nightmare for camera rental companies. So we developed the BMount standard with our partner BMount, but that standard is open to every battery manufacturer. In fact, we've got most major battery manufacturers on board. They are working on BMount products. They're working on BMount batteries, chargers, and sometimes battery plate also. And some of them will release products in 2020. We wanted to get ahead of the game and release a few products. So our stabilizer systems, our camera product, Alexa, Amira, Alexa 65, like you see on that slide, Alexa LF, that already need 24 volt. The Alexa Mini LF, which voltage range is from 10.5 to 34 volts. Runs also very well on 24 volt, the sky panels you see in the background, and of course to come our stabilizer range of stabilizer products. One particularity of the BMount plate for the Alexa Mini LF is the ability to keep power on the block battery. You know that traditionally you would have a prioritization that's given by the voltage of the power source. So if your block battery is 26 volts, for example, then it would take over the power source at the back of the camera. That would be 12 volts. But when both sources are 24 volts, then it needs to be a different prioritization. That's what we've done there. There's an intelligent chip inside that just like give priority to the block as long as the block still have power in it. Here we are. We spoke about the ready shoot set, and it's two major components that we have. We also spoke about the latest additions that we introduced the last weeks, in fact, such as the expansion pack for the Alexa Mini LF ready shoot set. And we spoke about the introduction of the BMount this year, the BMount standard, 24 volts. Thanks very much for your attention. And now we could maybe turn to the questions.
Thanks, Jeanfre. One question came in. It's already answered in the forum, but maybe we can talk about that. Question is, what is the best way to rig the Alexa Mini LF on a FreeFly Movie Pro?
On the FreeFly Movie Pro, the FreeFly Movie Pro is a fairly small stabilizer. The best way to rig it would be to use these little plates here, which we call the MAP1. In fact, the MAP1 were designed around the FreeFly product, and this would probably be the best way to get it in. The FreeFly is fairly close at the back, so we have to be careful about what goes to the back of the camera. However, these small plates have proven to be very effective, and the slider go top and bottom on the movie. Hope I answered that.
Yeah, I think so. I received the question, so what is a polyfuse?
What is a polyfuse? A polyfuse is a standard self-resettable fuse that if you exceed a certain amount, say if your power output on your distribution box is 2 amp, if you go over 2 amp, this would quit and save the entire electronic. And the simple fact of unplugging the faulty accessory would cool it down and put it back to. So there's no more fuse to change. That's a polyfuse.
Okay. So you mentioned the Ronin gimbal. So when is the Ronin Plate available?
The Ronin Plate is available, as far as I know, around now. It should be in stock. If it's not in stock, it's this week.
Okay. A question, on Teradek. So does the sender bracket work actually with Teradek?
Yes, absolutely. You mean the sender bracket, the transmitter bracket that we have here? Yes, indeed. Yeah, it features basically a a quarter-inch screw that can be used both with our system and the tear deck. Indeed, yeah, absolutely. And then what you have, the other screw you have is the mounting screw. That's a 3/8 ARRI pin system.
Okay. So there comes a question about ARS and hex accessories from friend Philip, and the question is, how do we mount those on the SEM plate?
How would you mount an X and yes,
ARS and hex accessories on the SEM plate?
Absolutely. This is, I think, a question similar to the one we had offline earlier on.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. There is a very new bracket that I don't look after. It's my colleague Kurt Schaller who does the Trinity system, and it's a bracket called the Stabilizer System Bracket, SSB1. This is a bracket which, as far as I'm aware, is available also this month, so it's very new, and it provides a multitude of interfaces. So the SAM plate is very simple. In fact, we've got one here. That's a very, very simple plate, and I try to position it so Jan can grab it. There's only two little M4s there on the side, and the SSB1 takes place right in the front there, while consoles and rod mounting bracket could fit to it. It's a very nice bracket, and I think that's available, pretty much now. Lucky so far.
Can losing power due to low battery break the camera or the accessories?
No, I mean, no. There's no instant when the camera is protected. Losing power shouldn't be a problem. I think Henning, what do you think? Losing power, you would record up to.
It's a no, huh?
It's a no. It doesn't damage the camera, and I think you
I would hope so.
To the
all right.
Frame. You don't lose your footage as well. That's what I understand, Henning.
Would it make sense to use HEX instead of HEBs in the expansion pack?
It could make. It's a very good point. It's a very good point. That's what happens when you've got parallel development between departments. There was a need for Philips' new X's, the new square shape of handle. This is the same section, or the same section as the Alexa. In fact, that handle started life as the Alexa M handle, and then transited to many, PCA products and came to the Mini. So what we have here is a fairly old standard. So we try to respect that with our accessory pack. So it's that X, that EP that's available. EP3 is with the expansion pack. But if you have an X from Philips, this would fit very well. As he precised himself, the shape wouldn't necessarily be exactly the same on the width here, but the height is the same. So it's not going to scratch anyone's finger. It's just going to be a nice extension there.
Okay, here's another one about the BMount. So what is the priority with BMount and floor batteries?
The BMount. Oh yeah, on the classic camera, the priority is given by voltage. So if your power source has a voltage higher than your other power source, then that would take priority. On some of the camera, like the Alexa LF, for instance, there's a priority that's given by the camera, so it's not something we can change. If you have a 24-volt source at the back and 24-volt on the ground, there's always going to be a little bit of interference. On the Alexa Mini LF, we had the liberty to start from the drawing board with those power splitting box. So there's a chip inside that will give always priority to the block battery on the floor, as long as there's juice in it, of course. And when that battery run out of power, then the BMount 24-volt battery will take over.
Okay, so somebody's looking forward for a shorter back bracket. question, why is it necessary to have this big distance between the back of the camera and the bracket?
That's a very good, very good question. I have to go back to the edge where we designed this, because this was available already on this bracket here. I'm going to probably try to move the camera not to give Jan too much of a hard time. Yes, there is a space in between the camera and that bracket. It's a classic question. Why didn't we make this a bit shorter? And the reason is why we designed that bracket. I went to see our engineers and ask what is the distance we have to allow between any accessory stuck in between the back of the camera, because the air output is the warm air comes out of the rear of the camera on the Alexa Mini, and the accessory at the back here. And the response was, please allow more than 4 centimeters. So at ARRI, my engineers colleagues are extremely careful and conservative, and they test everything. I think the camera stayed in a climatic chamber at 45 degrees for an entire weekend, just to prove that this distance would be enough. This is why we stuck on a large distance, as opposed to have like a very, very short distance between the accessory and the exhaust of warm air.
Okay, Jeanfre, here comes a complex one.
Please.
To make it quick to transition from studio setup to Movie Pro gimbal setup, would it be okay to use the stabilizer plate and attach it to the Movie Pro plate?
Yes, you could, and yes, we tried. It's a good question. I know that it would fit in height. It would fit, but please test it. I think in terms of height, you've got those carbon rods running on a movie. In terms of height, you should be okay with an MAP1 on top and the stabilizer plate at the bottom. Because these are good questions. But please test it in terms of, this plate has its own length. So it would probably protrude a little bit forward on the rig, and depending on what length you have and what configuration you have with motors, I wouldn't guarantee it works 100% of the time.
Okay, last question. Obviously, can you show again putting the camera out of the plate?
Yes, sure. Indeed, yes, I can do that. There again, I'd like to encourage everyone to go and watch my colleague Sean Dooley's video on the detail of that compact bridge plate. We've got a plate here that's sort of, you can set up like a traditional bridge plate, like a BP8 or BP9 for our American colleagues, and normally you would have to go and slide that fully out. If you have a long plate, it's a long slide naturally. Now with that plate, we've got a little release knob here. You can't really see it on screen, but I promise you the little release tab. If you fully depress on that, you would be able to take the camera out very, very quickly, and also to set it back quickly. It takes, there we go, and I just attached it. So that's one part of the compact bridge plate. If the question meant releasing the camera, so something I dramatically failed to do earlier on, you would just undo that little lever and move it the same way you'd move it on your shoulder. So there's a little release knob here painted blue on the side, and then this is what would come out and go into the other setup. If I look at the back of the camera here, you'd say, oh, how do you release that big, that's the same system. You can adjust that guy, and if you pull on the same tab, then you would just release that power splitting box here, and then that would be it. With that system, through our Trinity system, it works very, very well. You remove that box. I think there's some YouTube videos that have nothing to do with ARRI from some rental who do that on YouTube. I was well impressed about how short of a time they managed to reconfigure the camera. Is there
an ARRI Steadicam plate for the Artemis system available?
There is no plate at the moment for the Artemis. I think the Artemis uses another system. What they use usually is that very plate, that stabilizer plate, as it features some 3/8 thread at the back. In fact, 3/8 end quarter as well. So this plate is usually sandwiched with a Steadicam plate from Tiffen or a GPI Pro plate. I think it is from the Artemis.
This is a bit off topic, but I just read the question. Maybe you know it. Can I replace the radio antenna with others, such as the ones from the Teradek Bolt? Are they the same?
My colleagues who run that project, we are talking about those antennas here. They went through an unreal amount of testing and contacted basically the entire world to then come to the conclusion that that would be the aerial, the antenna that you should use. These are the antennas that feature on the Alexa LF and also on our video transmitter. So I would say that we are aware of a lot of companies that would try to save those antennas and basically put their own, because they do their own system, whatever works for them. We would naturally advise to use the one that we tested.
Jeanfre, this was it from the Q&A department.
It's done.
It's yours.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your patience. Stay safe, and I hope, like Philippe said earlier on, I hope to meet you in person very, very soon. That's goodbye for me.